can I keep doing this? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? And the answer was no.
On this week's episode of the podcast, we have John Lark, gym owner from Kildare, Ireland. Before small group personal training was a thing, I'm guessing in Ireland, you must have been one of the first, right?
Yeah, I believe so. If you're not learning, then the fire's gone from you. The owner doesn't do the sales course. He has a sales team. They do not sit on the phones.
My way is the consultation way. I couldn't possibly sell over the phone.
Well, I thought that, but it's incorrect. You know, removing yourself from something, you do need to just stress test it. Yeah, guard your community. Yeah, it's very, very important. The team that you have around you needs to be better than you because you ain't going to be there. Every business needs a marketing department. You're my marketing department, and you're a brilliant one at that.
Let's jump into the episode.
This episode is brought to you by Wellbeing Fitness Education Centre. Wellbeing Fitness help fitness businesses like you set up an education academy inside your business so you can qualify people on a level 2 or level 3 personal trainer certification. Teaching a personal training certification inside your business can add between 40 and up to £80,000 a year in additional revenue, and it also means you can educate and mould these students to be perfect fit employees specifically for your business, meaning you'll never have a staffing issue again. And all you need to do is teach the practical stuff. Wellbeing will provide and take care of all of the theory work. Plus, they will build out the marketing for you so you can get all the inquiries you need to fill up your first course. To find out more, click the link below this video inside the show notes or visit wellbeingfitnesseducationcentre.co.uk.
John, welcome to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast, a very successful gym in Ireland. Can you just give everyone a snapshot of the current business that you have right now? And we'll go way back to when you first entered the industry in 2001.
That's correct. Yeah, 2001. So 20 years next year in terms of the facility that we are currently in. So it's a small group personal training model. We operate, it's about just under 3,000 square foot. And it's located in the west county of Kildare, which is just west of Dublin. For people who are not sure of where we are, it's very much horsey country and golfing country, lots of championship courses and bits and pieces around where we are.
Just to give context, how long is the drive from Dublin?
30 minutes, 35 minutes. So it's not far at all. It's a bit of a commuter belt and it's growing that way. So that's where we currently are at the moment.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Tunbridge in Kent, so just up the road. And I moved over to Ireland back in 2001.
You're telling me off camera you went to Loughborough Uni?
That's right. Yeah, I was at Loughborough Uni from 97 to 2001, so 4 years there. And
what was you studying?
I was studying politics, actually. But I was there really just to further my rugby ambitions, which got to a certain point, and then that was that. And ended up, okay, well, I want to play. I want to do a gap year and see the world. And so ended up going to the far distant throes of Ireland, and started there. So
let's continue your story. Landed in Ireland playing rugby, and then how did you progress into the fitness industry?
So yeah, 2001, and I was doing a bit of freelance personal training, one-to-one in Dublin city centre, and from that I started developing relationships with other professionals. So obviously the physiotherapists, the club physiotherapists, and other clinical professionals in the area, and an opportunity came just for a pure discussion to enter into a multidisciplinary clinic where there's a gym, 500 square foot, tiny little place, big car park out the back, and that's where really the journey of Sphere Fitness started.
Training clients one-on-one?
It was initially, yeah. It was one-on-one, and it was, from the start, it was very labour intensive. And I always kind of think further ahead. No matter what I do, I still do it. But I was thinking to myself, can I keep doing this? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? And the answer was no, because it was very, very labour intensive. It was 40, 50 hours a week. And at that point, the small group personal training model was kind of attractive. And people were making a really good go of it over in the US. You had the likes of Cosgrove and Cressy. So I was looking at that and researching and thought, actually, this is a way of having a life. And then I really had to move on it because my son was born at 27 and I had my second son when I was 30. So I had two kids by the age of 30. So I had to find a way of being there for them. You know, I just thought, well, I can't be working every hour that God send. And I want to be, you know, I still love what I do. I'm deeply passionate about what I do, but there has to be, I love my kids more. I love my wife more, and that's really, really important. And it's the most important thing.
I'm glad you're talking about this because so many people get stuck in that rut, either as a coach working all the hours that are available, or they get stuck in their business working all the hours that are available. But you made that decision to look outside of the four walls and see what else is going on in the industry, what else is working. So there's a lot of people that you just mentioned 2 names that they won't know who those people are because they've not been in the industry the years that we have. So can you just highlight who they are and then sort of how they sort of helped you initially?
Well, Alan Cosgrove and his wife Rachel, they pioneered the small group personal training model in California, Scottish trainer, and kept a really good eye on what they were doing. And then Eric Cressy was kind of more inclined towards the rehabilitation because I was working part of a clinic and he was very much into the detailed program design. So I thought, how can I merge the two? And what can I take bits of this and bits of that and come up with my own model? I wasn't, I'm delighted I didn't put my name above the door, if I'm being honest, because, it makes it about you when really I was in the whole mindset from the very off, and it's probably one of the best business decisions I made to just focus on the system and the methodology and let that evolve over time. And that's worked very, very well because it means I can find the best people to deliver that system.
So you're taking the knowledge that you had as a one-on-one coach with the help of Cressy, Cosgrove, started rolling out this small group personal training before small group personal training was a thing, I'm guessing, in Ireland. You must have been one of the first, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe we were one of the first to implement the model because as well the space dictated it. It was only 500 square foot and you were either wasting time having one person in there or you weren't making the best use of the time and space if you had, you couldn't cram in 10 people. It just wouldn't work. But, that's not to say we didn't do like a boot camp out in the car park. It's a little bit different when I've still got photos of working out in the snow. The one time it did snow and I'm, but it's mainly raining. But that said, it had to fit with where I was at that particular time in my life. Now I'm 45 now and those things change again. So it kind of becomes me and then we and then back to me again. And that kind of flux of where you are with your business model, I think, is constantly changing. You can never sit still. I mean, you and I have seen over the years, like the Paul Check have come and they're still there, and Poliquin, and there's a constant yearning for learning, which is fantastic, and it was a huge part of the Irish kind of coaching setup and systems. But the business was really kind of secondary to that.
I remember coming to your gym a couple of years ago and seeing all of the Paul Jack literature and books and courses and your certificates. And I myself studied with Paul Jack way back. So we had a great chat about that. But again, there'd be a lot of people on this, listening to this podcast, watching this podcast, who don't know the name Poliquin, they don't know the name Check. So can you just talk about how they influenced you as a coach and then how they helped you maybe with the systems, the programming and look after clients?
Well, they were a massive influence amongst other teachers. And I think if you're not learning, then the fire's gone from you. I think you should always be refining your craft, always mastering your craft. I mean, I've got friends who are surgeons and consultants, and they're still learning. They're still attending conferences and upskilling. So you do less of it, but in the early stage of career, it definitely needs to be almost an obsession about delivering the result. Someone's come to you and given you their hard-earned money. Well, what have they got to show for it after a certain period of time? It needs to be a tangible outcome. And if you don't have the skill set to be able to deliver that, well, then go and find it. I always say to my coaches, I say, well, okay, what problems do you face at the moment with your clients? Okay, well, let that then direct your learning. So if they've got a question about nutrition and you're not sure, well, go off and find out what the answer is. And if that means you've taken a course on it, then so be it. You become obsessive. And, my attending courses, I think you go over the top with it sometimes as well, because you have to give yourself time when you attend a course to actually apply what you've learned. So some people they course hop. They go on a course and then, a week later another course and a week later another course. So, I mean, I find that very hard to actually say, well, have you applied any of it? Because you've got to apply it, right? It's stuff you've got to. And Poliquin always just say, can you apply it on Monday? And the answer was yes, because it was good material. It was practical, applicable knowledge. So I think that's been important part of my development is, and some material that you learn over the years you would never use again, but it's still there on the bookshelf. You still need to consult with it sometimes. But I suppose it's like you have a decreasing concentric circle, really. You become a generalist, and then you become a specialist. You might have to become a generalist again, and all the time you're learning. Okay, what do I actually need to learn here?
Is that because of the information that you was acquiring from these leaders in the industry back then? You were then helping people quicker, getting them out of pain and injury, disease-free?
Yeah, because, we were all about referrals and delivering a result. So if you were working with someone who is, blowing their ACL out in their knee, well, you better know how to rehab that. So they can go back on the pitch and enjoy the fruits of their rehab and get back to playing. Or someone wants to lose, 10 pounds or 12, whatever. Well, you better know how to deliver that in a safe, effective, efficient way, in a manner which, meets them where they're at in terms of the starting point, and go from there. But equally, you could have challenges which throw a few curveballs at you. So one, like for instance, a gentleman came to us years and years ago. I remember it now because it really led me down, okay, there's more to some ECI. He had a thyroid issue. It was undiagnosed. I walked down the corridor to the doctor, knocked on his door. I said, look, this chap, he's doing everything, and I genuinely believe him. Can we look further? And I was just obsessed about getting a result for this person because he was paying me this money to deliver something. And he said, yeah, send him in to me. We'll have a look. So I worked with the doctor, and he ended up losing the weight. Now, because you've gone over and above what you set out to do, and you were passionate about getting the result for someone, well, they owe you a lot in terms of kind of that emotional relationship you built up with them. You've genuinely changed their life. I mean, that's the power of what you can do as a fitness professional.
And were you actively asking for referrals, or just naturally because of the results you were getting people, they were then referring to you?
I think it was more of a natural process. Yeah. Old school marketing. I mean, you probably appreciate this more than most, but my marketing was geared around results and referrals, people coming back, so reactivations, workshops. And not because they were, looking to generate a load of email addresses or phone numbers from it, because I had all this information I wanted to share. I learned it, and I want to share it with more than just Jackie, who's come in at 10 a.m. I've told her about how there was loads of, and I suppose you believe in certain issues that you want to communicate to your community and become a leader in it. So,
and just to give context, everyone, you're building your business. This is before Meta. This is before really digital marketing.
Meta, no.
Taken off.
No, I believed in having a website because I thought it was important for your brand and it's like your business card. So I learned I'm a Dreamweaver,
yes,
and HTML and all the code. I sat there at my desk with my laptop and tapping away and trying my best to learn it and making a lot of errors. And what was it was Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop with the graphics and getting that really all nice and tidy, just because I wanted it to look professional. And I think one bugbear of mine was whenever I'd go to a commercial gym, and this is not just this is not a bugbear against commercial gyms, but there was just no care. There was they were renting you equipment, and I was like, you've got Mary who's come in here and she's got an arthritic hip. First of all, do you know about that? And secondly, are you going to help them? And if not, why not? They put up their hand for help. I mean, I one gentleman there, our oldest client, he's 82, and he's just a legend. And he was put on a treadmill, at 78 years of age, and he's unsteady on his feet, but he was put on a treadmill, and that was it. He was just like, no, I can't do this. So I think that's where, I said, right, I'm just going straight into the studio route, and we're going to look after these people.
So you built up this following and client base in Dublin. How did you then take the leap of faith and sort of move?
Okay, so there's a lot of mistakes that go on in between. It's by no means been a plain sailing. So we're in the studio, and it was, as I say, it was fantastic setup, some great conversations and learnings. But in the meantime, a conversation led to us getting some corporate fitness contracts, significant ones. One was when Google came into Ireland. We secured that contract. And then the work we did with that, they said, well, can you take over their Zurich site? And then the work from the Zurich site, we We got a site with IBM in Zurich as well. So we had 3 locations. So I was traveling around Europe, looking after the facility in Kildare, and this as well. And then another conversation. So I was very much a yes man, which I'm learning to be a no man more. Led to us opening a studio in Dublin city centre.
These opportunities were coming at you thick and fast, and you would just say yes.
Well, I would say thick and fast. Probably every couple of years, you'd have a conversation. You look around 2008, 2009, coming out, a bit of a crash, and then coming out of it, things get back on their feet, and just conversations. I mean, that's the beauty of what we do. It's very personal, right? And you have these conversations, and if you see at the time, if I saw an inkling of an opportunity just to either do something different or expand what we were doing, and I said yes, I would say yes, and just fell forward, right? Now, there's a lot of merit to that, but I wouldn't recommend that now. Power of hindsight. But anyway, we opened the studio up in Dublin city centre. We had that for 2 years. Again, I was just spread way too thin. And in the meantime, we'd outgrown the 500 square foot premises, the clinic, to go to a bigger premises where we are now. And we took the 3,000 square foot there. It was... Yeah, I just had to, after 2 years of flitting between the two, I had to say, no, enough's enough.
And go all in on...
Yeah, because, again, it was, you're not in on anything unless you have your ducks in a row. And you're in on something, you're not fully vested into it.
I think it's a big takeaway, because a lot of gym owners, they have site one that's successful, and then they have aspirations to open up more sites, but then they spread themselves too thin. Their business maybe is not as stable or systematized as they think it is, and then the wheels start to come off. And you made that decision just to focus on the one location and go all in on that one.
I think the biggest learning I took from that is, and I take from it now, is what do you really want? Like really want? It has to have this visceral reaction in you that you go, yeah, I'd be really happy doing that. And if it isn't there, I mean, it sounds a bit kind of flighty, but if it isn't there, then I think you really have to stop and do nothing for a little while before you make that decision. Now, there's lots of talk about making fast decisions, and I agree with that. I think they're the micro decisions on the day-to-day. Just make decisions fast, get them done, tidy up as you go along. I think there's definitely room for that. But the big decisions, I think you need time to really just reflect on them and let it time with what you actually want. Like, it's very hard, in my 20s, I would have found it very hard to paint what my future would look like in 5 years' time, 2 years' time even. Like, it's very hard, but now it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier because I think your values as you go older, you're more in tune with them and you're more comfortable with them. And again, they'll probably change again as you hit your 50s and 60s, whatever. But for now, I'm very comfortable with them and I know exactly what I want and the steps I need to do to take them there. So at that particular time, I had to close it down.
What would your message be to the gym owner who is thinking of opening site 2, 3, 4? Why should they consider not doing it?
Because there is so much opportunity in site one. And I look at my current site and I think there is so much opportunity there we have not exposed to the absolute max. Can we wring this cloth absolutely dry and then think about a second location? Because, a second location, what's it going to give you? Yeah, it's going to give you more revenue. If you do things right, it's going to give you another profit stream. It's going to give you another income stream. It's going to give you, dominate your postcode, as the boys down the road said. But is that what you want? Or are you stroking your ego? I think there's so much opportunity in the fitness industry to become that all-encompassing ecosystem that as soon as someone steps in your facility, it's all there for them. They don't need to go anywhere else. They would drive further distance to be with you, to be part of what you offer. So I think, think really, really hard about that second location.
Because we hear stories of a gym owner had a good couple of months, maybe got the gym 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 in revenue, and then suddenly they want to open up because an opportunity's come to them and it's too good to turn down, and they have to take this unit, and it's like this gym that's doing 10, 12, 15, you could quadruple that revenue, but you can't if you're not focused.
Yeah, and you have to be extraordinarily focused. And also the team that you have around you needs to be better than you because you ain't going to be there. And it needs to be strong. And you as a leader need those skills and those people skills, which, again, you don't get those until you've made a ton of mistakes and fallen flat on your face and been exposed. And if you're not open to feedback and that growth that surrounds good feedback, then I wouldn't even go near there. And I don't go near because I think it's an ego play. I would rather, go and buy a facility, a commercial premises, and relocate my first location there and then open up a second one because it's there. I just go, it's neat, it's tidy, the team are there, job done, I can get on with my life. And I like, being around, I like sports coaching. I've got passions and hobbies that, give a mention to shout out to Nicky, who's allowed me to kind of explore that and build that into my life now. So I think that's really, really important.
This episode is brought to you by the Fitness Business Development Academy. Are you running your fitness business, or is your fitness business running you? Are you frustrated that with all the effort you're making within your business every single day, at the end of the month, you're still not making as much profit than you'd like to? If so, the FBDA are the guys for you. These are some of the best business coaches within the fitness industry and have personally helped many of our clients here at Fitness Marketing Agency. If you want to find out how you can go from frustrated and stuck to clear and have clarity and more profit in your fitness business, these are the guys for you. If you want to find out more and book a free strategy call, all you need to do is go to www.thefbda.com.
Just to anyone who doesn't know who Nicky is, can you just give some context around that?
Nicky's with the FBDA. Been working with him for 2 years now. So yourselves and Nicky, you're my board. You're my sounding board, because it's, as a business owner in any industry, it's incredibly lonely. You've got no one really to bounce ideas off who are going to give you that, what do you wake up, or that sounds like a good idea, have you thought about this? So I think that's really, really important to have that in place.
We'll come back to Nicky and your lifestyle and the coaching in a second. I just want to fill in the gap. So you closed down the location in Dublin, went all in the Kildare site. So what was next in that journey?
Well, the corporate fitness finished up. So we lost the contract. And to be honest with you, when I got the call, I was delighted. I could sleep. Because you're only ever a call from them saying, see you later. That's the reality of commercial contracts. So you should always have multiple streams of income to support what you're doing. So what next? That was then when we went all in on the facility. So, and then obviously COVID hits, and you manage that part of the crises. Really, it was
we met coming out the back of COVID.
Yes, yeah.
So just to give people an overview, how many clients does the business have right now?
It has just under 200.
And how many staff? What's the team?
There are 8 part-time. Yeah. So they range between 10-hour contracts and 20 to 30-hour contracts.
And what are their roles in the business?
It's mixed. So there's a pathway. So they would be solely coaching based. They would be coaching plus kind of administrative based, and then it'd be coaching plus sales based. So, and then we move into the teaching side of things as well.
What's your role in the business?
My role is to lead that team. So my kind of daily to-dos are, make sure the vision is rolling and we're keeping up to speed with the projects that we have in place. To lead the team. So I have a lot more one-to-ones than I've ever done. But it's important. I mean, you need to lead your team, and it's about keeping them accountable, but also ensuring they develop as people and as professionals, because they all have aspirations, and it's very important that you understand what your team want and their desires and what they want to get out of life themselves, so you can help them and then they go off and do great things. I mean, the coaches that have left us have gone off and done great things. I'm delighted for them. And I think that's really, really important. They're not there it's not transactional. You're there to develop them as a person. It's a really, really deep responsibility you have as a business owner, I believe. So lead the team, and then obviously the sales and marketing to lead that side of things. I'm kind of more into the marketing hands-on still. I enjoy it, so I do it. And then the financials. And lastly is to learn, always be upskilling in something.
So 100% off the coaching floor?
Yeah, if I'm coaching, it's because I want to do. I enjoy the time I spend with them. So I would probably do 4 hours of coaching a week, and that's it.
Is that covering, or is that set?
No, that's it. Yeah, I enjoy the coaching. I enjoy the company. The only coaching I do at the moment is sports coaching. So I've schools rugby in Ireland is enormous. It's like it's enormous, and so that's my real passion. I love doing that, and fortunately, the way the team now is, I can pursue that properly.
Do the youth players come into your gym to train, or do you go to them?
No, they don't. It's kind of pitch based. They're schools based, so they're like little mini academies in and around Dublin. So it's a fabulous system they have over there. So part of that.
Are you training them on the fitness or the rugby side, or both?
Rugby, yeah. I still clear of the fitness. yeah. There's better people than me that can do that now. A lot more learned and wise and more skilled. I could, but it's the rugby side of it.
And your sons in those teams, or are they?
Yeah, they're with the club. So the club and school are different, but I would coach club rugby and I coach schools rugby as well. But I say because the business is the way it is, it enables me to do that, and I feel very comfortable being able to do that. If there was an inkling of, disturbance in the ranks, then there's no way I would be doing that.
How many hours are you coaching in season?
Per week? There'd probably be around between
games.
10, 15 hours, maybe more.
And so what you're saying is, if the business was not in order, you wouldn't be able to be released to focus on a passion project and give back to a sport that you love.
That's it. Yeah. So it is a passion project, like you said. I mean, that's a great way of describing it, because it is. I mean, you've got the club, which is your community, and will always be my community, because that's where I met my wife. That's where my kids play. It's my second family. So I give back to that, and I'll always give back to that. I wouldn't be in Ireland where I am today if it wasn't for that. But then the schools is an additional passion project, because that's very, very professional. It's like you're developing the future stars. So that's really exciting. I really enjoy that.
What level qualification are you for rugby?
I'd be level 3 or stage 3. Yeah,
it goes up to 5, right?
It goes up to 5, yeah, where you're boxing with Andy Farrell. Okay. Yeah,
nice. So you've invested heavily in that and done the hours needed to.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is you're never done. It's like coaching; you're never done with it, so you can keep going with it and you keep learning with it. And every season is a new challenge, and you meet new people, and yeah.
I think the takeaway from this little segment is too many gym owners, they're just stuck in their gym, and if you ask them what their hobbies, what's their passions, like, they can't tell you, because they're so stuck in the business, because it's suffocating them. But you've taken the necessary steps to build the team, build the systems, make sure the clients are getting service and results and reoccurring revenues coming in, to then free you up to be a father, a husband, be a coach on the rugby pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. And I think that's always been the plan, and always been the and it costs money, because you have to, if you want to be free, you have to employ staff. But you can't just employ them and abdicate total responsibility for what was your role. You have to train them in. You have to hold them accountable. You have to develop their future. So I think that's the important bit that maybe in some instances is not thought about or thought through. So yeah, when you open a gym, sometimes you don't realise that you're giving yourself a job that you can't fire yourself from. So yeah, I think it's important that realise the cost to that.
What advice would you give to that gym owner who's currently feels suffocated or stuck in their business?
Well, I would definitely find a way of exploring hobbies. I think hobbies are really, really important. Just so that you switch off and get out of your head. Find ways of getting out of your head. So I play the drums as well. And I love that, because you just don't think about anything else. You're just thinking about the groove, right? But you need hobbies that are totally away from your business, and you look forward to them. In fact, you would go out your way to create time for them in your week. And I think that's really important, because then when you go back to your business, you're on. You're not kind of, you're not 50% on, you're on. And then you can come off it again. So there's a little switch that flicks between these. Like we all have multiple identities. Father, husband, partner, gym owner, drummer, coach. We all have multiple identities. So I think the more identities you have, the better you become. It's more interesting. Life's a bit more interesting when you do that. So I've got an ambition. One of my goals is playing a wedding band. Now, whether I ever get there or not I don't know. But
are you in a band at the moment?
No, I'm not in a band. No, I'm in a band when I put my headphones on.
Yeah. Where are you playing the drums, at home?
Yeah, home. Yeah, kit at home. Yeah. Now it's electric kit, so I'm not annoying the neighbours. But you can just hook into a concert and play along with it, right? So it's, but yeah, it just takes you out of your head for a while. And it's funny, like doing like hobbies such as I don't know, just country pursuits or something which just gets you out of the gym. Gives you time to think.
Yeah, thinking space, which you're just like sometimes overwhelmed with 20 million things on the to-do list, staff crying, or they need your attention, or a customer needs help, and it can swamp you. Yeah,
it really can, and even like I love to train, but very rarely would I train in my own facility, because for me it's going to work. Now I do train there, don't get me wrong, but I have a gym at home, and I just get it done, and it's done, and I feel great for it, and that's it. So I think, where you need lines, you need clear lines. I mean, I hear some horror stories where, the only hobby someone has is to get their card, and become a professional bodybuilder or physique athlete. So they're on 24/7. For me, that's like a form of imprisonment. Now, I've absolute total respect for that. And I think it requires so much discipline and dedication to get to that point. That said, I would think long and hard about what's next, and can you do both? Can you find a way of marrying kind of what outside of that environment?
So we're out of season. We're probably in pre-season right now for rugby, but in season, I guess you're very bounded and structured with your working week.
Yeah.
So just give us an idea. What time are you starting? What time's coaching? What time are you on a gym floor? Team meetings?
Okay, so I'd 2 days of coaching. I'd be up early, and I'd get my coaching done early in the morning.
For rugby?
No, for coaching clients. Yeah. So I enjoy them. Get to hang out with them. We go for runs and do bits and pieces. Might go for coffee afterwards. Then I'm back. On those days, I'm back in the gym, and I might have one-to-ones, do some marketing, look at my KPIs, and look after them, make sure the dashboard is up to date and on point. Look at any issues that may be, arise in the business. So, data drives. I was very poor at making data-driven decisions. Emotion used to get the better of me sometimes, and as a result, you wouldn't really. It'd take you too long to see where the problems were.
Give me an example.
Well, for example, like conversion rates and attrition rates. You think your product is on point, and then you see everything's falling like a pack of lemmings falling off the cliff because you haven't got a suitable follow-up in place. So identify that point via the data, put a system in place which tracks that from now on, and then teach your team member how to fix that. So I've become a lot better at not jumping in if there's a problem, but give it to the person who can actually fix that. Because not everyone has the same skill sets that are applicable for the issues you may have. So I think that's very, very important to recognise when you have a team, to identify the right person for the right role, or the right issue you face. So then I would, in the afternoon, I'd probably do the sports coaching side of things, and then back with the family by 5, 6 o'clock, and we have the evening commitments, parents sideline.
You mean on the sideline of the pitch? Or?
Yeah, watching the kids.
Okay.
Yeah, watching. I've got a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, so they'll be playing sport, and I wouldn't miss that for the world, and I don't miss that for the world, because it's a connection you have watching them. You're there for them, but you're also on the car ride home and bits and pieces like that. You get some good time with them.
Was there a time when it was chaos in business and life, or have you always been this structured?
No, absolutely chaotic. Yeah, because you're putting out fires all the time, particularly when we had all those, we're traveling around in a lot of locations. So one day, you wouldn't know what you were doing that day. And that is so stressful. So now these are my coaching days, and these are my days where I get an opportunity to develop and build the business and fix what needs to be fixed, possibly, or tend to client issues or meet clients. That's the thing I enjoy.
The words for me that spring to mind is less is more.
Yeah. Less is definitely more.
With the journey that you've been on with multiple contracts, with corporate, multiple sites, down to one site, making more money, I guess, than everything you had together, and a better lifestyle as well.
Yeah, I think you have to, it's like anything, you have to go through all these to realise what you don't want. And then if you can help someone with that shortcut, say, well, look, not tell them what to do, but to say, look, maybe have you thought about this? But be curious. Like I've always been like, yes. So the first Google contract, it was a funny story. First Google contract, had a conversation with the client. Google coming into Ireland, and they've allocated space for a 3,000 square foot gym in Dublin. And are you interested? And I said yes. And he said, well, you're going to get a call tonight. Okay. I said, who from? The global head of facilities based out in Mountain View in California. Okay. All right. What time? About 7:00. Right. I'll be there on the phone. So the lady phoned, spoke to her, and she said, oh, you're the corporate fitness guy. And I went, yeah. I'd never done one. I hadn't done one at all. I didn't know what I was doing. But I was like, okay. I said, Google, what does a tender look like? And what are the stages of a corporate fitness? And it was like these words like procurement and operation design and so I put together this like doc. She said, can you have the document over to me tomorrow by close of business? Yeah, no problem. So I tapped out this, and it was the tender document. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But I knew that I had to put some gym equipment in the space and then run it, get the team in place. So I've always been a case of going, yeah, and then we'll figure out, get the plane off the ground, and then we'll figure out as we go through. And it worked, But then as you go through it, you realise this is just way too much. Yeah, so...
Made the decision to change. And, as we always do these podcasts, we have to think of a hook and a title. And something that springs to mind for me is the 4-hour coaching week business. Like the book, the 4-hour work week, something along those lines, because that's ultimately what you're doing. You're coaching for 4 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
And then you're running the business, and you're leading a great lifestyle, following your passions, hobbies.
Yeah.
Stress, I guess, is what level? 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
Stress. Okay. So stress, because I was away on holiday, and I was saying, my wife said to me, I can't do what you do. I said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, like, you're on 24/7. I said, yeah, I am. I'm constantly thinking about it, but it's now you grow accustomed to it. You develop that level of stress, which can tolerate what owning a small business does, because you're never off from it. So stress is a funny one, right? I think you grow accustomed to it, and there's always there's always a fire, there's always a challenge. But I think your ability to solve them gets better. I think your ability to see the bigger picture gets better. And I think your ability to actually bring in the right people to fix it gets better. Now, you might have to outsource that. So that's why we hired you guys, and Nicky as well, because I just didn't have the skill set to do what I needed to do, particularly as we came out of COVID. I mean, we'd got down to 80 clients when COVID struck. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do what I normally do, just roll up the sleeves and get to work. And you learn that period of time. I learned a lot about myself and carry those lessons forward, in the sense of like boringly consistent with routine. Just stick to the routine. So turn up and do what you need to do every day. It showed me as well that like coaching is super important outside of the session, and I still don't think we have that right as a business yet, because you try and implement a one-to-one model with large group members. And it's incredibly tough, because you've really got to dig deep into, that what do they actually want, and can you actually deliver that? So we get it right, we get it wrong. We're still working on it, but we'll get there. But yeah, I mean, with COVID, I think that consistently boring routine is what makes small business tick.
And the entrepreneur business owner that gets distracted, shiny objects, is the one that isn't as successful.
Totally, yeah. And I was falling into that trap when I sought your help, because the emotion was, when you come out of that, you need to get your business back to where it should have been, where you know it should have been. So you're trying everything, and it's desperation, it's emotion, but you need someone just say, no, do this, and then do this, and then do this.
And you did, and the business grew.
Yeah, exactly, and it grew, and it's growing, but it's growing at a rate which is good, it's healthy. You know, there's periods where we can kind of maintain it, and then put the foot down again, and then see where we're at, and play around with it, not change it. You know, we can make subtle tweaks to it, but the methodology and the flow of the sessions, the delivery hasn't changed.
I'd love to talk more about your team. Before we do that, what is the main coaching service model in terms of clients to staff ratio on the gym floor?
On the gym floor, it's about 1 to 6, 1 to 8. So there could be as many as 12 people on the in the session at a time.
2 coaches, all following the same program?
No, they don't. So no, they have their own program, but the programs they're delivered on the app. So everyone would have their own program, and
individual to that person. But they're very similar in terms of the flow.
So the flow of our session is that we warm up together. So it's just that moment of connection. You know, when you're warming up as a team, you just get everything out of your head, and that's really, really important. We do that, and then we do some core work and kind of prehab work, get the bodies ready for the training session, and the meat of the sandwich is their program, and then we come together at the end for the finisher. 50 minutes, job done.
So it could be give me an example, like a compound lift, but everyone's doing a variation of that, or
no? It's supersets. Yeah, it's supersets, whole body movements. So an upper body, lower body supersetted, and we very rarely drift from that. Very rarely. And I think what's important is that the client themselves, they see progress, they see continuation. So I've been very guilty about bringing in wave loading or some sexy program design methodology that doesn't fit with someone who's 43. They don't care. You've got to explain and educate them around it. Whereas if you just kept to the phase on phase, and that's something we've done recently, credit to one of my coaches for bringing that in, and tightening that up. Just keep to the same method and tweak it and show some form of progression with them. But if someone feels like they're doing something better, that's progression.
What you've just explained is quite unique. So I'm sure people listening or watching this want to know more. So I'm a customer of yours. I do the group warm up. I guess there's some conversation, some laughter, some banter. I'm on my phone. Am I looking at? Is it your custom app or is it a white labeled app? What are you using for my program?
It's we use custom version of Trainerize. The reason why we'd use that is because we can coach very effectively through that outside of the trainer session. So I think when you charge a premium gym membership, you have to sell. You're not selling session credits. You're selling a coaching experience. You're selling a tangible outcome. So it's really, really important you remind people about why they came to you all the time. So when you said, I think that's really important.
Is that because they've logged it as a goal, or?
Yeah, they're prompted to fill out a consultation form, and on that, there's specific questions. We see where they're starting from, so we can always remind them of that when they come back.
And then give me a flow of the session. What would I do in a session? What exercises?
Oh, you do it. You could do a squat base pattern with a push pattern, a hinge pattern with a pull pattern. That's it. So 4 exercises.
Reps and sets.
Reps and sets typically do 8 to 12 reps. It very rarely drifts below that, above that, because they're, as I say, the average age is 40, 43, if I'm being specific on the data, and they're pretty. Most people are banged up, and they're beginners. Like we target beginners, people who have maybe drifted away from health and fitness. They want to incorporate some routine, so they don't need to know about all that. Their first goal, and we are very, very clear in the communication in the first 6 weeks as our foundation, to just show up. That's your goal. Show up and make it a routine. Book your sessions. So don't overwhelm people with information. They'll learn at their own pace, And
are they put straight into group, or do they have one-on-one?
They have a foundation session first. So they get comfortable. The purpose of that is get comfortable with the environment, to throw a few markers in the sand, just to get them used to this strange gym that looks very, very different to what they're probably accustomed to. There's We have 9 cardiovascular pieces. But other than that, it's racks. There's no mirrors. It's bright. It's colourful. And there's someone there to make sure that you do things correctly. So that's very unusual for someone.
So the coach will demo to them, or will they know already what to do in the program?
Yeah, they will know. So we will know it's maybe their first, second or third session. And I mean, the team are fantastic. They know, they can see. They're like vultures, and what's better is we have 35, 40 session times to choose from. So you can create a schedule that works for you, and then you can come and drop into sessions maybe a little bit quieter. We get our Live Well community in at certain times. So they're always looked after with the appropriate level of care.
And that's the 50 plus community?
50 plus, yeah. It's really 60 plus. Yeah. But they're great. I mean,
they have specific times they train.
Yeah. They train at 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. most of that. But then they when they've done maybe 6 to 12 weeks of that, they can't make those times. They come in at other times because they're comfortable and they're not intimidated. They're not scared. They're doing everything else which everyone else is doing. So there's no reason why they can't do it themselves.
One thing I'd love to talk about is you played rugby at a high level. You love rugby. You coach youth rugby. Surely, as a gym owner, you just want like the next Ireland, Brian O'Driscoll to come through, and you're just doing S&C with all these athletes. But you said a second ago, most of our clients are beginners. So a lot of gym owners want the high-profile sports stars, semi-pro stars. They want to be doing the sexy S&C or the more, advanced exercises. But then, like, you could easily say that because that's your background. But then you're saying, "Oh no, I want the beginner market." Tell me why.
Because it's not the market. It's a teeny tiny portion of the fitness market, if at all. It's not a market. I mean, nowadays, most athletes, most teams will have their own S&C or strength conditioning coaches. So no, I steer well away from it. I think it's look, we do work with the odd like we had the Newcastle Falcons squad member in for rehab because he was in the area and needed a place to train. So more than happy to help him out this summer. We have a couple of young, promising rugby players, but that's pro bono. I don't charge them for it. It's they come and they use the facility because I want to see them do well. But that's because I can and because I want to. But I don't target athletes. I think there are other facilities better served. But as well, I mean, I think you have to know an athlete to want to train it. And that's very dehumanizing them. They come with most time their own agenda, and you have to make sure that they fit in with your methodology and your training experience, because you can get friction. Case in point, someone comes in, they don't want to do the warm up, they do their own warm up. So immediately they're doing their own thing in the corner. Everyone's looking over. What's he doing?
Why are they special?
Why are they doing that? Why am I not special? They start doing their own. They start walking around and disrupting the flow because everyone has their own pod area. They start walking around, disrupting the flow of it. So it can be incredibly disruptive if you don't stay on message, stay on brand. So I think that's really, really important. That's an important message. Now I try to do that. Like we had years ago, we had we used to do these strongman sessions because they were all the rage, weren't they? Flipping tires and banging hammers. But then we had Mary, who was in with an osteoarthritic knee, trying to dodge a tire that was being flipped up the gym. And you're looking at this going, something's not right here, but I can't quite put my finger on it. So yeah, I think you then, but that's what you've taught us really, is to stay, on point and not try and serve everyone. Be very, very clear about who you serve and get the messaging correct and on point with that.
Let's talk about the 8 team members. Something unique that you said is that they're all part-time. Yeah. Why is that? Pros and cons?
Pros and cons. So I found that when I've had fewer team members, it gives me less freedom. Because if someone goes away, or they're sick, or they call in and the kids are, they're sick, or they've got a problem, which happen, there's no cover. There's not enough cover. And what we do is there's a lot of working parts and there's a lot of sessions to be covered. So I'd much rather have someone hire who actually has a steady income themselves. So they can focus on this is their passion project, right? I enjoy hiring people who this is their passion project. And you'll get murmurings when you talk to them and meet them up for coffee and you interview, not interview them, but when they say, "Oh, I did this for free," you know what I mean? I said, well, you explore that, but that's an interesting starting point because they love coaching, and also we have with the level 4 course, it's a 10-week internship, so we do get the best students that graduate from that. We hire them, and I think that's really exciting with that.
So your staff, how are they supplementing their income?
With another job,
like out the industry or in the industry?
Could be out the industry. It could be they could be spinning other plates. But what we do is we do employ them and give them part time. So we agree on a set amount of hours every week, and that ranges, like we have people on 10-hour weeks, people up to 25-hour, 30-hour weeks. So and they can supplement their income whatever they want. But we give them the stability. You're always going to get this amount of money every month. You're going to get sick pay. You're going to get holiday pay, and whatever Brucey bonuses we can throw in to help you. What do you need? So if they're an athlete, they might need health insurance. Well, we'll sort that out for you. It's not a massive expense to us, but it could mean the world to them. It just helps them, So I think that's important.
Is there a senior coach?
Yeah, there would be. Yes, I mean there is a pathway, and there's a sliding scale of pay with that. So yeah, it's paid per hour, but there's you.
And you mentioned earlier coming up to 200 members. Roughly, what's the price point across the board?
So our initial 6-week foundation is 247, and then 177 ongoing.
And everyone comes through that 6 weeks initially.
Yes, yeah, unless they're a returning client, which they go straight into the membership because they know the lie land, they know what they want, and they get into it.
Roughly, what's your conversion rate from trial to member?
It's around 80%. Yeah, so on average this year. So we can always get that better. I feel. So yeah, that's what we look for, really.
And roughly, how long do people stick?
In terms of long term?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you could get on average, it's about 15 months. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about your sales process. So, what did you used to do? What do you do now? Who does the sales in the business?
So, where we were with the sales process was come in for a consultation, sign you up then. Consultation used to be overly elaborate, 45 minutes long, and
check style.
Check style. We'd like to think of it, yeah. But it was an overblown assessment. It was very little coaching. It was more kind of information gathering, and then you see that was the ego driving that because you try and impart all your knowledge on them, and like they have to sign up because they're in the right place because we know what we're talking about. That's nonsense when you think about it. You just talk about it, but it's nonsense.
So you're doing lots of measurements and
loads of measurements, and they'd be walking away with, if they didn't convert, they'd be walking away with this awesome assessment that, And then who was it said to me? Said, "Do you go to the dentist, John?" And what was, do you pay on the way out? I said, yeah. So the pay consultation was the next step. So we take pay consultation, but then. We look. It's belief in your service, isn't it? I suppose when we came out of COVID, you have to have belief in what you're doing because we need to do this. So it was a good thing. As in some instances, some people just the shuts came down, but for us it was like, no, we have a good service here. We've been in the community far too long just to pull the shuts down, and sayonara. This is very, very important. So we upped our prices, got your help, and then obviously the sales training with that. So I would have done all the sales and learn one call close. But do it from a position where it was like curiosity and like, are you really a good fit for us? But be genuine about that. Like, because some people aren't, they'll phone, they're just like, they're not tire kickers, that's too harsh, but they're curious, right? So you become curious as well. And you understand, okay, yeah, you're a good fit. Okay, these are the next steps. Or you're not a good fit, but the commercial gym down the road probably is a good fit. So you're always helping someone in that respect. So I think sales is not a dirty word by any stretch. It's definitely a place and a position where you can help someone. But then it just got so much more efficient after doing, all those sales calls for bones of a year and a half, really, wasn't it? To get back. Yeah, just hit the phones. We put it back to where it was. I had to do that because it was good. It was like market research as well. You understand where the client is at. And they definitely I found that became far more health conscious. So in that essence, you can sell a product or a service which is more premium. Because it's more encompassing. People, they want to know what to eat. They want to know how to rest and recover. They want to know what to train. You're not just, here, come to the gym, job done. And they need that accountability because that's what COVID had demonstrated. The people that stayed with us are still with us. And they just were looking for accountability because they needed to make sure that their head wasn't going to go into the biscuit tin or into a very dark place, whether, for working from home and all the stuff that went with it. Go back to sales process now. So there's 2 people in the sales process now, and I've divorced myself away from the sales completely. We set ourselves a target at the start of the year, and it's gradually got bigger, better and better, and they hit it. My aim was to have it when I went away on holiday in July to still have that target, and they hit it. It's been a good journey. That's really opened my eyes.
Where were you on holiday?
Spain.
And the team were making sales?
Yeah.
What did they hit?
They hit 5K.
In front-end revenue?
Front-end revenue, yeah. They'd hit it the month before because I was kind of, okay, they can do it. That wasn't without my input. And then they did it again in July when I was away. And I was away for pretty much the whole of the month. So that was exciting and important as well, because the first team meeting we had when we came back, we have a pit stop every Monday. The first team meeting was, it was like, we should go away more often, So you want to hear that as an owner, right? I said, well, I can't, but, but I'm delighted to hear that.
How did it make you feel?
Well, incredible. It's another step in your journey as a business owner.
I see a lot of gym owners get stuck. So they work their way off the gym floor, or they 50% off the gym floor, or 75% off. But then they're 100% sales, and they get stuck in that sales position because they don't think anyone else can sell as good as them. So how did that come about, you getting additional help? I think off camera you said they are coaches, and then additionally they do sales. That's
right, yeah. So I think you have to identify who will be good at it first, because we had one of the team member who started doing it. They didn't like it. They just had no gusto for it. And that's okay. But you have to really respect that. Because they're motivated by time. So you have to understand what people are motivated by. And if they want their time, and then sales isn't it. And also the discipline of time management, being able to, discipline your environment, discipline your time to make those calls. Again, you need that. So that was really important, stepping stone with the team. So find the right people to do that, and then one of the guys, he's fantastic because he's just, again, he has that natural. He's just a natural. He's a natural. You would know when you hear him. He's very good at it.
So you gave him any training?
Yes, yeah. So he attended the boot camp, and
sales boot camp.
Yeah. I'd listen to calls as well. So we have a system which records the calls, so we can listen to them, and we just pull them out. I think that's a layer of accountability as well, because there is a script to follow. And like no script, no sales really. You need the script that Lucas helped us design. And, if things aren't going right, because again, that changes as well based off who you're talking to, based off where they are in the point of the journey, based off the time of year, that will change. And also obviously the program you're selling. So I think that's important to take into account. So you have to listen to the calls and also help motivate them as well. It's very energy demanding. Your head needs to be in the right place. You've got to sound like and be in a genuine place. You want to help this person by screening them and providing that filter, and then you can take it from there.
And I guess KPI driven.
KPI driven, yeah.
We're filming this in August. What's the target?
5K.
Same. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Every month. Now the goal is to maintain that standard, and because it fits in with the overall goal of the business. So yeah, that's the goal.
And are they on shift patterns? What happens when a lead comes in?
So the lead, this is what we need to get better at, speeding it up. So when a lead comes in, it comes into the system, the ecosystem, and they have their sheet at the start of the day. Every day they're alerted to new leads that have come in, and it's just up to them to call. So they agree between the two of them when they will call them. So typically there's kind of a lunchtime and an evening time period, where it's more likely to capture someone, and you just keep going.
Weekends?
One of them does, because he would do fewer calls maybe on a Friday, and he's in his partner is doing something else, so he's by himself, and he's, you know what, I can make a few quid with commission and do this.
What would you say to the gym owner who is set, my way is the consultation way, I couldn't possibly sell your 250 euros over the phone?
Well, I thought that, but it's incorrect. If you are going to do that, still keep with the paid consultation, because I think a consultation is useful because you get to meet them in person. You can still see if someone's a good fit as well. But that said, they need to pay. They need to put skin in the game. It's part of the whole commitment process. No pay, no play. You know, and I think that's, you know, you're going to get someone. When we look at, like, we've email marketed for 20 years. You know. When you look how long they've been on your list, when you look how many touch points they've had, not including the organic content you put out on your social media feed and the doom scrolling they've done on a daily basis, it could be hundreds, 200 points where they've gone, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I'm ready to do it now, but maybe not. Or the kids distracted them, or they're just not ready for it. So yeah, go back to that. Your consultation process, they need to put skin in the game. They need to finally put that, whatever objection they've got, price-wise maybe, or put it to bed and get on with it.
What would you say to the gym owner who is doing the one call close process, but they feel stuck because they're just doing every lead that comes into the business, they are calling every single lead? Is there like a better way of doing it?
Yes. It is mentally quite hard to take that, because that's the lifeblood of your business, and you're handing it over to someone. But I definitely wouldn't do it straight off the bat.
So I think that's crucial. You have to walk that road yourself as a business owner.
Yes.
You have to learn how to sell. You have to do the reps. You have to get rejected.
Yeah.
You have to make money.
Yeah. Absolutely. And as well, it justifies your decision to hand it over. It gives you the confidence to hand it over, because you know that if worst case scenario, you can step back in. And I think that should give you confidence to hand it over, to be honest with you. At any point you can step back in. So, because all you need is a phone. That's it.
But you worked your way out of that department.
Yes. Yeah. So I worked my way out by really handing it over and training people in. I think that's the important thing, is to walk them through the script. Why is this important? You know, you're educating someone. You're training it like any process in your business. You need to train them in to do it, and not just like, there you go, off you go. Best of luck with it. It's like, hold them accountable to it. Well, have you done it? Let's revisit this next Tuesday, and you can let me know how it's gone. Any modifications, any tweaks you need to make with this. And also, I'd love to hear your input as to what could be done better. So we'll meet again on Tuesday. Off you go. All right, and then you have to kind of buckle up and trust that. So you've given them a week, and then on the following, say Tuesday, that meeting, you're one-to-one. Okay, how we got on? Show me the data, and you've given the data points, because you want to take the emotion. I struggle with anyone says, "How are you getting on?" Oh, great. That's just disaster if you hear that, because it's not. They just might not be ready to tell you, you know, what's really going wrong. So you need the data to drive the decisions you make with your team members and hold them accountable to that. So it's not just a complete handover.
So a gym owner who's currently doing all the sales for their business, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there has to be.
But walk that road first, train someone,
Yeah.
step back from sales, because it's pretty tough to be doing all the sales and then spinning all the other plates
Yeah,
in the business at the same time.
We're in a business campus, and it was just full of small businesses. Now, small businesses, maybe a couple of million, 3 million a year in some instances, but the owner doesn't do the sales calls. He has a sales team. Now, whether that ranges from one person up to 10 people, it's irrelevant. It's the same principle. They do not sit on the phones. They may be over their shoulder trying to understand, okay, what's going on here, hold them accountable. But it's all driven by data. It's all driven by people showing up and doing the work. And that's what they're there for. So you agree on that. I mean, the guys are contractually obliged to pick up the phone X amount of hours a week, so they get them done. So there's that's the first KPI. And then second, okay, we have to agree on how many calls you're going to make, and then you have to agree on what's realistically for a conversion rate if you pitch to someone. That's it. Simple process.
What would you say to the gym owner who is adamant that the best types of clients are the ones that come via my contact us form on my website or referrals, and I don't really need to do a sales call because they just turn up and do the session. I don't really need to sell them because they're pre-sold.
I think, well, in that case, you need to flip it and vet them because they're coming into a very small, very private, premium community. Golf courses, right? You take a golf course. You know, some golf courses around where we are, there's like it's 10 grand just to join up. But before you even pay that 10 grand, you have to go through the whole Lord Mayor routine of 6 months playing there, meeting the members, you know, courting everyone. And then you're invited, interviewed, and then you're invited to pay your 10 grand and then pay your membership fees on top of that. But they're doing that because they're screening you. I mean, you could be 4 hours with an individual on that course. And they want to make sure they're getting the right people in the club. And, you know, there's lots of alacadoos and social status stuff with it. We can call spade a spade here. But again, the principle is the same somewhat. You're bringing someone into a community. You want to make sure they're a good fit. And also they're going to get what they came for. In Ireland, it's still like, we're in a town, but it's not. It's a village. It's a big village if you equate to UK sizes. And the result of that is that small talk. You know, Ireland is very much small talk and lots of coffee hours, lots of mum mornings. And if you've let someone in to your community and they're not a good fit and they've had a very bad experience, because you've let them in, you know, we don't get it right all the time, but because you've let them in, then it's on you. So I think that going back to that sales process, it's a vetting process as well as a sales. Because if they're ready to take plunge, then you make the sale.
My takeaway from that is guard your community. Don't let anyone in. Don't let everyone in.
No. Yeah, guard your community. Yeah, it's very, very important. And I think as well, what we've learned from over the years, I mean, we're 20 years next year, so people return. So they leave, they'll return. If you've done a good job, you've said what you're going to do, you've delivered on what they came for, and they've had a nice time, you know, they leave. People leave because it's a service-based industry. You're going to get churn rate, but they will come back if you're still there, and you've also demonstrated that you've improved and you've invested in your education, in your team, in your facility. Like we always, you know, we do carry some debt in the business. For the main reason is that we can then reinvest in the facility every 4 or 5 years. So you have to spend, and that's really, really important. So we've got the guys from Black Box to re-kit out the place there a couple of years back, and they did a fabulous job. And we will do the same again.
To upgrade it.
Yep.
So we have lots of conversations with gym owners at Fitness Marketing Agency, and some gym owners, they need to make 50 front-end sales every single month. And when we dig a little bit deeper, it's because they are losing 45, 50, 55 on the back end, and they're so focused on the front end, they're not really paying too much attention to what's going on the gym floor, and people are just leaking out the back door. So you've got this target of July, you hit it, 5,000 front-end revenue. August is the same and continuous. So it's slow and steady.
Slow and steady.
Wins the race.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you hear that sense of desperation about, I need 50 new clients, well, why? You know, why do you need 50 new clients? Can you service them firstly? We know, firstly, we can service 20 new clients very consistently every month. And then we look at our attrition rate, and we know that if we hit 20 and keep our attrition rate where it is now, we will grow. And that's it. It's a very simple formula. It means we don't get overwhelmed, and the existing clients who are there don't see an influx of 50 people in a space which wouldn't be able to accommodate that. Because like, at the end of the day, you know, you're trying to develop and nurture routine in someone. So if someone goes to book in a session at 6 p.m. and they suddenly see it's full, and like they've been doing that religiously for 12 weeks and suddenly they can't get in for dust. Well, they're going to leave because that's the one constant they have in their life, in their week, which is steady. So I would really, question that thinking. How much can you go slow and steady for a long period of time? Can you sustain that? Can you also take periods where you don't need new clients? Can you just button down the hatches and consolidate what you have? Because you're that confident that if you do need to turn the tap on, then it can happen. And also I think it's a really good idea when you're a business owner to stress test things as well. So I love going away in the summer because I go away and I literally go away. So we were away, bones of 3.5 weeks as a family. It's quality time. I'm still touching in, but I'm not operational, trying to change things, improve things, tweak things. Because until you come back and see the business, like what's gone wrong? They're not performing heart surgery here, folks. You know what I mean? So there's good stuff's going to go wrong, but it's a good idea to see what has gone wrong in that period, and then you can then address it. So it might have been, communication amongst team members. How can we improve that? It might have been conversion from the end of the 6 weeks to monthly recurring. So, okay, that wasn't that great. How can we improve that? Do we need to tighten up? So there's little things, but they're never major enough for you to say, burn the boats. It's never that bad. So you need to stress test these things. So when you're thinking about, removing yourself from something, you do need to just stress test it. Now that can be over a period of a month or a week or a few days, whatever you feel comfortable with, but it needs to be done.
I think the takeaway for me, patience.
Yeah. Be very, very patient. Yeah. So going back to that 50 members in a month. Can you absorb that? And do you need it? If you're that as well, when you slow down the pace of your marketing, sometimes you see what the organic efforts are generating, and I think that's really, really important. Far more important than paid ads, because paid ads could go tomorrow, right? It's that kind of doomsday story that marketers will always give us. But what's your, how many leads you getting off your website? How many leads are you getting from referrals, reactivations, from your email efforts? How many leads are you generating on that basis? Is your social media working in the sense of getting the exposure? Are you getting those messages come through? No, I'm still learning on that respect. I'm nowhere near that. I think the creativity stuff is not my strong point, but we'll get better. But I'm not in a rush. I'm going to do it right. And then when you add the paid ads into it, then you're good.
Just don't be reliant just on one media source to get clients.
No, and I think the key is, like, we've been in this a long time, Ben, and you learn how to hustle. And I think if you have it too easy, when the proverbial poo hits the fan, you're not ready for it in some instances. Now, I really admire. I mean, some of the when we go to the masterminds and the clients of FMA, the guys who are killing it, I have so much respect for them, and they've got so much energy and drive, and they're doing things so well. I mean, Madison's facility, fabulous. And you really, you look back and you go, oh, geez, I really wish I'd done that. But in hindsight, I wouldn't have changed anything, because I learned how to hustle. I learned how to do the organic stuff. And I learned, to understand what I really, really want, because you can be chase. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, what are you chasing? And if you don't know what you want, well, then you're going to be chasing forever. So I think you need clarity on that.
And I'd definitely put you into that bracket of killing it, even if you don't put yourself into it. Because what you described at the start of the podcast in terms of your structure, your time off, the finances that you're making, the systems that you have in place, the staff, like 100%, you're in that top tier. Let's talk about finances. So I'm guessing you've got KPI trackers for that. You mentioned earlier that you're checking the finances all the time. So someone's had a big influence on you with the finances. So you can just talk about some of the habits that you have, the KPIs that you look to hit, and then the influence that person's had.
I think the person you're alluding to is Nicky. Nicky Segal, from the FBDA. So Nicky, brought on board Nicky 2 years ago because we didn't have the level of detail with our financial reporting that I was comfortable with. It was too ad hoc. It was too sporadic in terms of reporting. And I knew that if I wanted to play a high level, you need that in place. And also I wasn't bringing home as much as I knew. Like the business was going well. Where's the money going? Do you know what I mean? And I thought to myself, well, that I obviously don't have the skill set to do that. Now, so Nicky came on board, and immediately it was tied into the bigger picture. Okay, well, this like money's money, right? And your financials are financials. But what is the purpose of this? And to start off with, just have more fun and get your life back, pay for your life back, because I wasn't really enjoying life. I think that's the, I didn't have as many hobbies as I had. And again, when you understand the data, you can make decisions which are, the emotions is taken out of it. You're far more objective. The subjectivity of business is gone. You still trust your gut in some instances. If, for instance, I say no more often than I say yes now. But with the he taught us to look at the profit more. So the revenue was my ego speaking, but the profit was the key. So we have our profit targets, 30% every month, and we aim to hit those. But also like the owner comp, that has to be dialed in first. So the profit first model that you had spoken about there a few masterminds back, that's been part of the picture as well. And that really has been a game changer. So every week now, I have a clarity on what the numbers are doing and where we're at. So things like budgeting, just more disciplined around that area. Because I think with financials, it's very easy to hide. It's very hard just to just peer through the hand, and I think everything's okay when it's not. So you have to accept the reality, and when you have that kind of growth mindset, you have to accept your reality, and then you can make a decision based off that. So yeah, that's been a really, really important part of the story.
I think every business owner's done it, where you sort of hide your head in the sand. Like, I won't check the bank account, everything's okay. Yeah. And you won't have a dashboard, won't have a P&L, won't track anything. Yeah. We'll expense everything personally inside of the business. Yeah, yeah. And then before you know it, you've made like 1% profit margin. Yeah,
or lost money. Yeah. And then you go and see your accountant at the end of the year, and it's like you're delighted because you've got to pay no corporation tax. Well, that's not good, because as well, like I think you do have to have an exit in mind. I think that's the important part, because if plan B, worst case scenario, you have to get out of Dodge. You have to have something which is sellable. Now, pensions and whatever, but your business is an asset if you do it correctly. So, you have to have something which is, operationally sound, procedurally sound. You can give to someone, you can give them the playbook. And, it stems back to the book, The E-Myth, which I read years and years ago, and I took great insight from. I thought it was one of the best, and because it puts the end in sight, and so just in case, do you know what I mean? You have that choice. So yeah, I think that's where we've always had that.
That book was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Michael E. Gerber. I listened
Michael
to
E. Gerber, yeah.
On Audible. You probably get it for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
We send it out to every new client that comes on board with FMA now. 100%. If you've yet to listen or read that book, you must read that book as a business owner. The E-Myth, Michael E. Gerber. What are some of the habits that you've now formed around your financials? Like, what are you doing daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly?
So we keep tabs on, obviously. So sales will be daily, monthly recurring will be weekly. So the money, the financials coming in.
Just checking,
yeah. And then obviously look at things like cancellations if they do, and how that affects the monthly recurring. And then I would every 2 weeks I would get an accurate position on the financials. And that's accountancy based accurate, based off the work with Nicky.
And what are you doing in terms of the pots? So you got one bank account? Do you have multiple bank accounts?
Yeah, it's funny. I have multiple bank accounts. Yeah. I think the tax one's the big one. because you don't want to get caught with that. So, putting a certain percentage away. I have been caught in terms of being, not having enough cash to pay a bill that I wasn't expecting because, you're not in charge of your financials. So that's a lesson learned. But yeah, no, you have different pots for all the different banks.
And I want to just touch upon it because people listening or watching, they may not have picked up on it. So what are the profit percentage that you're aiming for every single month?
Net profit 30%. Yeah.
And are you above it, below it sometimes, or is it always bang on?
Yeah, sometimes like if we're in a kind of a maintenance phase of the business where we're like there's no real projects going on, then I think 30% should be, that's what to aim for. But if we say, right, we want to put an additional profit center in, like a recovery room, or we want to build out the merch store or coffee shop, a few bits and pieces we're working on or improving, then I wouldn't mind that going down a bit, but it's still profitable. There's a definite little bit of wiggle room for that because you're reinvesting back in the business. You're building back another asset. So that's what I'm saying about. We go back to the chat about the second location. Can you actually look at your existing location and are there more profit centers here that I haven't explored yet? Now, some of them might be online coaching. There are hundreds of different profit centers you could deploy in a gym environment. Hundreds. So it's a case of, okay, what do you have the appetite to do? Is it realistic? What's the kind of level of risk with it? Most of these are very low level risk, very low level. So do them.
What would you say to the gym owner right now who knows their finances are not where they need to be? They don't have a grip of it. They're going to bed worrying about, I need extra money for tax. I don't know what my VAT bill is. I'm not paying myself. That's the biggest one, I think, is I'm not. So people will lie. So they're lying to themselves in terms of their salary. They're not paying themselves enough. They know they need to, but they'll come up with some elaborate story to why they've not been able to hit that goal yet. What would you say to that business owner who's listening to this that was where you were? What should they do to get a grip on that?
Yeah, well, I've been there myself, so I totally get it. And it's very stressful. The anxiety goes through the roof. That said, I think, first of all, you need to get a habit of paying yourself first. You set aside money every month for you because you're working. You're working in the business. And I think that's super important because that changes your mindset around things because then you can plan around that. Okay, you reverse engineer what's the end of my month going to look like in terms of profit, and then how much revenue do I need? Now, in some instances, it might be a case you might need to raise your fees. In most instances, I would say that's definitely the case. You need to up your fees because your margins don't allow you to hire staff, or they don't cover expenses, they don't cover your salary. So I think that's where you need to look. But I think get some help as well. Reach out to people who have been there, and can take you out of this. But I think pay yourself first. And
not always is the accountant the best person to advise.
No. Look, I have a great accountant, great guy, but no, they're there to help you with your tax and any other bits and pieces that come down the line. So they're not there. No, you need someone who's really, one, can understand your industry, and two, can understand the financials, and be ruthless with you. Be absolutely ruthless with you because money is very emotive. It's extremely, people are very uncomfortable talking about it, and I think that's you need someone who can just like tell it how it is. So I think that's why we got Nicky on board. Yeah, holds me accountable very much so. Yeah.
You're coming up to 3 years, a member of fitness marketing agency.
Yep.
It'd just be great we have a lot of people that listen and watch this podcast that are not fitness marketing agency members. And typically in the marketing space, a gym will join a coach, a consultant, an agency, and they'll be there for a few months and then they leave because they don't get results. Yep. It's different at FMA. We're super passionate about what we do. You're testament to that. You've been with us coming up to 3 years. Yep. What would you say to someone who's listening, watching this, who isn't a FMA member? Why should they consider coming on board?
Well, it's been a game changer for our business, firstly. There's a direct correlation between our growth and the help that you've given us. I think every business needs an emphasis on marketing and sales. And the FMA provide that in abundance, not only with the campaigns but with the support as well, because you know that you're not going to be distracted with shiny objects. You're not going to be distracted by, just turn on a few Facebook ads and you'll be fine. It's not about that, and the reality is. But then there's a community around us, which keeps you on an even keel, keeps you inspired. Yeah, we alluded to the young gymowners in the community who are absolutely crushing it, and they're inspiring. They're inspiring someone who's been in the industry for 20 years. There's some of us been in it for longer, and because they're looking forward, and they're coming up with creative methods of growing their business. And I think we need to I certainly draw inspiration from that. So yeah, I think that's been an important part of the journey. So yeah, every business needs a marketing department. You're my marketing department, and you're a brilliant one at that.
Thank you. You are an awesome client. Thank you for being part of our journey, our story. What's the website where people can check out more?
The website is spherefitnessstudio.com. So that's the website, and our Instagram is Sphere Fitness Centre.
Cheers, John. Love what you've done and can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you can catch future episodes.